The following video is broken into 4 parts. Part 1 explains how to get to the meeting using the link provided in the email invitation. Part 2 explains the video preview before entering the meeting. Part 3 explains how to interact with your professors and colleagues using the chat, reactions, and shared screens. And Part 4 explains interactive and simulation features such as breakout rooms and polls. Each Zoom meeting that you're invited to will generate a link for you to join the meeting. You can receive these links through email. If you do, the invitation will look something like this. It will have a meeting ID and a passcode. Most of the time, the passcode will be embedded straight into the link, so you won't need to input one. If you do need to input a passcode, keep in mind that it's going to be in the email invitation, and you will be prompted when you try to join the meeting to input that passcode. When I click on the meeting, it asks me to open the Zoom Meetings app, so you should always open that app if you have it downloaded. Once it opens, it will give me some options to take a look at my video preview. This is what I look like right now. I have a virtual background turned on, and you can have it so that the default setting is for it to always show a video preview when you're joining a video meeting. This is useful so that you can double check that you still look okay and that your virtual background is appropriate before you join the meeting. So I'm joined today by Professor Kirkup, who has agreed to host this How to Zoom meeting with me. Hello, Professor Kirkup. So we're going to go through a few of the different ways that you can interact with your colleagues and your professors through Zoom. One of the first ways that you're going to interact with your professors and colleagues is actually through the chat function. So if you look at the bottom toolbar of your Zoom window, there is a button for chat. If you click on it, it brings up a pop-up, and you can see that it's titled the Zoom Group Chat. Now, there are a couple of different recipients for each chat box that you open up that you can choose. And this chat box can be moved to any part of the screen. So if you don't like it being in the middle, you can move it to the bottom right, which is generally my preference. So right now, if I want to send a message to everybody in the room, which is just me and Professor Kirkup, I'm going to say hello and send that off. And we can see that it notes that I sent a message at 12:57 p.m. from me to everyone. Now, if you want to change the recipient of a message and you want to send a message privately, it is possible to do, keeping in mind that certain professors may disable private chat functions in their meetings. If it is available, you'll see here in the recipient bar that there is a drop-down menu. Right now it says everyone, which means that my messages will be sent to everybody participating in the meeting. But if I want to speak to Professor Kirkup privately, I just click on his name. And then right next to it in red in parentheses, it says privately. So I can say hello just to Professor Kirkup. And then it timestamps it as 12:58 p.m. And it says from me to Kyle Kirkup. Thanks for my message. And he sent that to me privately, so now we know that nobody else has received that message. So again, importantly, if you have something that you want to say privately to your professor, like a question that you want to ask, or a question that you want to ask one of your colleagues, just double check that you're not sending it to everyone. The next thing that you can also do on the chat feature is send files back and forth. Now, most professors are probably going to be using Brightspace for submitting assignments, for quizzes, and anything else related to actual paperwork. But if a professor does want you to upload a file to the Zoom chat, you can click on this button here. It says File, and then it will ask you if you want to upload it from Dropbox, Microsoft OneDrive, Google Drive, Box, or your computer. 9 times out of 10, you're going to want to upload it from your computer, so you click on that, and then it'll bring you to the file navigator. After which point you can go into your documents, and I'm just going to send just a file from the Tech Fellows to Professor Kirkup, and then send that off. So Professor Kirkup should receive that. And you'll notice that since I uploaded it privately, Professor Kirkup has received it privately. But if you need to send it to the entire group, you can change the setting once again so that the recipient is everyone and upload that same document. And it will say that it has been received by everyone. And then, of course, if you don't want to see the chat bar anymore because it can be distracting, you just press X and then it's gone. If you want to open it again, you press the button to open it, and it opens up in the same place where you left it. Another way that you can interact with your colleagues and professors through Zoom is with nonverbal reactions. So this is good if you have a question that you want to ask, or if somebody has said something that you really enjoyed and you want to let them know without saying it out loud. Because as I mentioned before, virtual etiquette kind of means that you keep yourself on mute unless you have to speak. So in order to ask a question, you can raise your hand on the screen, but sometimes it's not the most noticeable. So if you want to have a notification sent to the host of the meeting, who's usually going to be the professor, you can click on the participant bar in the bottom of the menu there. Once you click on that, it opens up in the side view. And we can see that I'm going to be the first one, and then it's usually the host, and then everybody else who is participating will appear here. And you can see that there's a microphone icon that says who's speaking at any given time. If I want to raise my hand, I can click on the raise hand button, which is at the bottom right of the participant bar. When I click on it, a blue hand will appear next to my name in the participant bar, and Professor Kirkup will also see that same blue hand on his side. And then, once my question has been answered, I can lower my hand by clicking that same button. Now, if I want to react in any other way, so for example, if I want to applaud the speaker, I can go to the reactions button, which is at the bottom menu on the meeting space. Once I click on reactions, it gives me two options, which is to clap or do a thumbs up. I'm going to clap, and when I do, you'll see that the clap icon appears in the top left of my video feed, and Professor Kirkup can also see that on his end that I am clapping. It should appear on my icon. It does just disappear automatically after just a few seconds, so you don't have to worry about erasing that reaction. It'll just come and go. Another way that you'll interact with your classmates and professors is through the shared screen. Now, most of the time, your professor will most likely be sharing their screen with you, either to share internet web pages or PowerPoints or even YouTube videos. And if they do, this is what that will look like. I'll have Professor Kirkup share his screen with me. And then you can see that it shifts the entire view of the screen. So right now what I have is the gallery view, and then on the left side I have the shared screen. So we can see that Professor Kirkup has the orientation videos on Brightspace opened. And when he moves his mouse, we'll also see we'll see everything that he does. So that's what that looks like. And another thing that you can do is to change the view of the participants in the bar. So on the right hand side of the screen here, you'll see at least 5 or 6 of the participants in the video, but if you find that distracting, you can switch it just to speaker view. And when I do that, you'll see that it switches to just Professor Kirkup. It's usually based on audio input, but since he is the one sharing his screen right now, he is the speaker or the presenter that Zoom has decided to prioritize in that view. So it does make it a little bit more streamlined. If I want to see everybody's faces again, I can click gallery view and up I come again. You'll also notice as well that whenever you're viewing a screen, there is a green toolbar at the top. It says that you are viewing Kyle Kirkup's screen, so whoever's sharing their screen, you'll know who it is that's doing it. And then you can view some options here. So if you find that the screen is not big enough for you to see, you can change the size, for example, to 200%, so that you can zoom in a little bit more and read some of the smaller text. If you want it to go back to its usual size, you can just click Fit to Window, and it goes back to normal. And that's basically all you're going to need to know for sharing screen when the professor shares the screen with you. But if it's the opposite and you need to share your screen with the professor or with the class because you're doing a presentation, for example, a PowerPoint presentation, this is how you do that. So Professor Kirkup is going to stop sharing his screen with me, and we'll see that we've returned to gallery view. And then if I want to share my screen with him, I simply click on this green share screen button. When I do, different options appear and show me the different windows that I have open on my computer. I'm just going to share my how-to video Word document with Professor Kirkup. And when I do, it only shares that window. So I go into the window and I can see and navigate through that Word document, and I can make any changes. So if I type in hello right here, Professor Kirkup can also see that change. It's important to choose a specific window to share, because if you share an entire desktop with the participants in the video, then they'll be able to see every notification or even file names on your computer, which can be a big privacy issue. Also, while you're sharing your screen, you'll see that there's a green toolbar at the top that says that you're sharing your screen, and it gives you a few options. You can stop sharing, which is this red button here, but another useful option is to pause share. So if you want to stop sharing your screen for just a moment while you switch to a different window or while you switch to a different part of the document without having everybody watch you scroll through the entire document, you can press the pause button and everybody will see a frozen image of your screen. And then when you restart, resume sharing, they will be updated so that they're back on the same section of the document that you're at. And then when I'm done sharing, I simply press stop share, and it takes me back to the usual Zoom page with the gallery view again. Another way that your professors are going to engage with you is through breakout rooms, and breakout rooms will be useful for simulation activities and group discussions. So what that means is that your professors will split everybody up into different mini Zoom rooms so that you can all discuss in private. So what I'm going to have now is for Professor Kirkup to put me in a separate Zoom room. And then I will show you what that looks like and show you how you can get the professor's attention in that room. So as we can see, Professor Kirkup has invited me to join Breakout Room 1. So if I click on the blue button to join, it will send me right over there. It takes a few seconds, so we just have to be patient. And then once I'm there, it's just me, so my face is blown up. When we're in the mini breakout room, we're discussing with our classmates, if we have a question, we can get the professor's attention with this new button on the bottom of the toolbar. It's ask for help. So if I press this button, we can invite the host into this breakout room. So if I send that request out, Professor Kirkup should join us right away. So as we can see, Professor Kirkup received the invitation and came to join me in this breakout room to answer any questions that I might have. And the host is free to jump between any breakout room at any time, so they can pop in unannounced even if they want to. Once you're done in the breakout room, if you want to return to the main room, you simply press the blue button that says leave room. Make sure you don't leave the meeting, just leave the breakout room, and it will send you back to the main page. And now, as you can see, both Professor Kirkup and I are back in the main room. Once breakout rooms have been enabled in a meeting, it actually changes the options available to you on the bottom toolbar. So you'll notice that breakout rooms is now a new option available to the participants. So if you need to return to that same group, you can click on breakout rooms, and it will tell you which breakout room you've been assigned to, and you can choose to join that breakout room again. The final way that your professor may choose to interact with you through Zoom is using polls. And polls are useful for gauging students' opinions, for encouraging participation, and for even quizzing you on the knowledge and what you've just learned. So the polls are only ever enabled by the host, and they are usually pre-written questions. So Professor Kirkup has a question written for me today, so he's going to go ahead and enable that poll now. When the professor chooses to share the poll with you, it will pop up automatically in the middle of your screen. As we can see, it's a public law quiz, and the question is, what is the written constitutional basis for superior courts in Canada? And the answer to that question is option 2, which is section 96 of the Constitution Act of 1867. So I'm going to click on that option, and then this blue button to submit that question will lighten up, and then I click on that to submit it. Once it's submitted, Professor Kirkup will be able to see the results of the poll that he posted, and then if he wants to, he can actually broadcast those results with the class. So now we can see that those results are being broadcast, and right now they're anonymous. They won't always be anonymous, but most of the time the professor will tell you ahead of time if they're going to be anonymous or not. And since I'm the only participant and the only one who answered the question, we can see that 100% of the participants in this room chose option 2. Once I'm done with that and I don't want to see it anymore, I just press the blue close button. But if partway through the rest of the class I want to go back to that poll and see those results again, there's now going to be a new option in the bottom toolbar for polls. So if I click on the polls option again, it will show me the question and the answers. And if I go through several questions, it will give me all of the questions. I'll just scroll through them so that I can see all the options that have been broadcast with the class. And that is the end of our how-to tutorial video for Zoom. If you have any further questions, you can direct them to the orientation team, and we will also be hosting further orientation sessions and hopefully live classes on how to use some of the more advanced functions of Zoom, so keep an eye out for those as well. Thanks for listening, and good luck with the first couple weeks of classes. Thank you again, Professor Kirkup.
Thank you.